First of all, the soldiers who I visited with, in many cases, were the 104th Division. It's the Timberwolves. Night fighters. They're from Vancouver, Washington. This is where I live. These are our citizens. I knew many of these people before they deployed. I went to their deployment ceremony. I went not only to their deployment ceremony, I went specifically to Fort Riley, Kansas, where they trained. I spent 2 days there watching their training and meeting with them, with the commanding general. These are some of the people I met with in Iraq, people I had known for several years. It was not a hand-picked bunch of flunkies. It was people I'd known for years. I traveled with Congressman Chris Shays. He's been to Iraq 17 times. And so Chris and I gave a list proactively to the State Department and to Defense of who we wanted to meet with in terms of Iraqi figures and where we wanted to go in Iraq. We listed Sunni leaders, Shia leaders, and Kurdish leaders. On the first visit, we went to Ramadi. Ramadi's in Al-Anbar province, which you've probably heard about, which had been basically a no-go zone for U.S. forces previously. We met with soldiers on the ground there, and commanders, etc. The second visit was fairly similar. We again specified with whom we wanted to meet. This time, we had actually asked to go to Sadr City. The military said, frankly, sir, we will get you everywhere you ask to go except where we might get you killed, and we think Sadr City would fit that description right now, so you can't go there. We had also asked for Yusufia and Taji. In both places, we had soldiers from the 104th and elsewhere. Chris had soldiers from his district who wanted to see him. Yusufia is southwest. It is outside of the green zone, as was Ramadi. And in Yusufia, we met with frontline troops, including a battle-hardened colonel who had buried 65 of his own men. He said, sir, several months ago, you would have had to fight your way to get in here. We had incoming indirect fire, rockets, mortars every day. Every time we went past the perimeter, we got hit with IEDs and ambushes. Every time. It is different now, sir. We have not lost a soldier in months. The local community is telling us where the IEDs are. The local sheikhs, both Sunni and Shia, importantly, are helping us, and we are helping them. And we will show you that. And we went outside the perimeter, granted an armed Humvee column. I'm not going to say like my friend Pence from Indiana said that it was pretty much like a farmer's market in Indiana, because it wasn't. I don't wear Kevlar. Maybe I should, but I don't wear Kevlar at the farmer's market here, and I don't wear body armor. And when I'm standing next to the bus, or rather the dirty old car, I'm not saying, God, I hope this thing doesn't explode. But nevertheless, in an area where it had been no-go zone for U.S., where they had sustained many, many deaths, we are now out in a public square talking to a Sunni and Shia sheikh who are not afraid to be seen with us.
What about with your back chest?
Well, you'll get your chance, my friend. I want you to understand who we saw. And the reason I want you to understand that is because there's a whole myth that's developed that every member goes over there, gets the fog in the green zone. This nonsense about shrimp and whatever dinners, haven't a clue what they're talking about. When I got briefed by Petraeus and Crocker, it was in a command post. When I met the military in the field, it was in the FOBs. We flew out by helicopters. I mean, it was not some simple thing. We met with
the homeless population is getting worse nowadays because we're spending more money on military instead of human services.
I'm a Korean era veteran, and what you and your boss at Washington is doing to the veteran is something terrible. And I believe that right there, what that gentleman's holding up there, that's the thing we need right there, is impeach Bush!
City Council, which earlier this year unanimously passed a resolution calling on Congress to get some common sense and get these guys home now. And the reason we did that is because people are increasingly coming to the City Council asking us to take action because you're not. I find it really ironic that you're here tonight on the United Nations International Day of Peace and Ceasefire to defend a war and an occupation as a means of resolving international disputes. The irony of that is really profound.
I want to be clear. I'm not defending a war of occupation.
Well, you are, actually, Brian, you are. I want to ask you, what's your plan and how do you define success? What do you expect to happen? Are we there to prop up the al-Maliki regime so that we can assure a compliant, pro-U.S. state in the country with the world's largest second oil reserves? As Alan Greenspan seemed to be indicating this week. Are we there to build military capacity within the Iraq army so that they can suppress the Sunni minority? I'm getting there, sir. I'm entitled to my points. Are we there to force the Iraqi parliament to sign this oil law and to turn over all of the wealth in their country to U.S. corporations, which seems to be a prerequisite? Or are we there to establish permanent bases from which to launch an attack, perhaps with nuclear weapons, of Iran? So what is the measure of success? How do we get out of this? And do you ever envision a time when we do not have a U.S. military presence in the country of Iraq? So before answering that, I'll just say in closing that, as you know, I've supported you in the past, and I've opened my family's home and business for fundraisers for you. But I've come to really question the wisdom of that decision, and I'm here to tell you tonight that unless you change your position on this issue and you immediately start to assert the moral leadership that your constituents expect, and that this country so desperately needs to reestablish its credibility among the family of civilized nations, you no longer deserve the privilege of representing this community in the U.S. Congress.
Yeah. It is what it is right now. So the question is, where do we go from here? I don't lose sleep about the political consequences at all. What I lose sleep about is what happens if we get it wrong. And I lose a lot of sleep about that. If we get it on the one side, we lose more American GIs, lots more money, and we still fail. If we get it on the wrong on the other side, we pull out, maybe when we have a chance to succeed, and there's bloodbath. There's a lot of other possibilities there, and many conditions can change on the ground. Here's what I would envision. I don't buy into this notion that the neocons seem to say they're going to have a Korea-like presence in Iraq. I think that would be a terrible mistake, and I don't support it. I do not support it. What I do think is, I have seen areas where positive changes are happening. That colonel I talked to in Yusufia said, "Sir, this is a completely different place than it was. We're making progress. People are helping us out, and we can go elsewhere now and take it to some of the al-Qaeda cells. When we turn over an al-Qaeda cell in one area, we can take another one down. The same goes true, by the way, from the Jaish al-Mahdi and some other groups. As far as propping up Maliki, I tell you, I think Ambassador Crocker would find it interesting. I don't think he sees Maliki as an American puppet. The big fear there is he a puppet of Iran? That's actually a significant fear. So I don't see it lasting forever. What is success? Success is not at all what the rosy scenario was portrayed before this field.